let's turn our attention now to this. This is the rear of the car, and as you can see, I've taken the pogo sticks off, which would normally sit across here to here. And as you can see here, can you see now what I'm talking about in terms of that drop that gets restricted? And you can probably just see on the video, if I can just get something a little bit pointy, if you notice this area here, where I'm pointing here, and you see how that tab stops the drop. We need a little bit more. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the hub off here. So we're going to unscrew here, take the hub off, take this out, take the wheel off and everything. And we're going to get to that little tab that is over there, this tab here. I'm going to shave that off a little bit to give us a bit more drop. Okay, if I remove the rear hub, I'm hoping that you now see this tab I'm talking about just here. Okay, as you can see, I've taken it out, taken the wheel off, taken it off. So we're going to take this out completely. Okay, there we are. I'll do this one-handed. There we are. Okay, and just push that back in so that it stays in there. There we are. So now we've got the hub out. You can now see those little tabs that I'm telling you about. That's here. Okay. And I'm going to shave this tab off to give us more room. I'm just going to take the axle out and the bearings out so I don't get them all caked up with any plastics. All right, so let's have a look. And there you are. You can now see those tabs quite clearly. So as this is going up and down, that bottom tab is stopping the travel. So let's just shave it back a little bit, shall we? Okay, probably going to use a knife, a sharp knife, and just shave that back a little bit so it's nice and neat. But while I'm there, I'm going to get the other one off as well and do them both at the same time. I shall come back to you in a moment. So if you can look now, you can just about see there, I've shaved off that bottom tab that was sitting on the bottom here and here. And all I've done is just gently shave that off with a sharp knife. So it's nice and straightish. There you go. Got to see it. So we can now put all this back together again. So if we do the same test now that we put everything back together, then you can see much more drop. Okay, without the, now the only thing we've got to be careful of is the angle of the shaft, the drive shaft. But what we're going to do, we're going to limit the angle of that drive shaft by limiting the travel we've got of the drop of the suspension by adding the relevant spacer inside our dampers, which I've already done. You get little spacers on the trees, and I've taken the larger one, and this is the smaller one that's left, so I could add another one if I need to, but I'll just take one at the moment, which is a 6mm spacer that I've added to the shaft or the shocks before putting the oil in, and that will limit the travel of the drop. And then hopefully we should get more suspension travel like a rally car. Okay, that was the free upgrade. When you think about it, just trimming that tab that's down there, that's all it was. Let's go and sort out the other free upgrade, which is sorting out the steering at the front again. This is the travel of the steering, and we're going to do the same sort of thing. We're going to take the hubs off, and if I can get to show you, I think I showed you upside down, didn't I? Yeah, here you go. I'll get to show you. This tab here hits against here, like so, and we're going to take that hub out, trim that back, and that should give us a bit more steering. And they're going to do that the same on both sides. So that's this little tab here. So we've taken the front wheels off. And what we're also going to do at the same time, see that bit that drops down there? We're going to trim that back as well. So let me just get the hubs out. So we're going to take this top screw off here and the bottom screw there on both sides of the car. So we can take these hubs out. I'm going to leave the axles in and then take the drive cups and the bearings that's in the hubs. We're going to take those out and I'll come back to you in a second. So just so you can see, let's see if I can focus. Can you see now I've taken that bottom one off? Can you see how that sticks out the bottom? Okay, so we're going to do two things here. We're going to trim that down and use a slightly smaller screw and a washer to fix that from underneath. And we're going to knock off that tab. If I can show you that tab, that steering tab there. You just see that here, that, and we're going to take that tab out so that it steers a bit better, because it's hitting against this bit here. So as it turns, it's hitting that. Okay. So I needed to take off here about 4mm, and just to give me a guide, I've put a couple of pieces of 2mm tape around, and that gives me the 4mm that I'm looking for. So put that on both of these uprights, these hubs. You can see there. Hopefully the camera can pick it out. 4mm. So kind of gives me a guide, a cutting guide. And then what we're also going to do is, I don't know if you can pick this out on a camera. I'm going to see if it picks this out. Hopefully the light does. Let's have a little pointy device. Can you see this kind of chamfered edge here? Look, can you see it's almost got like a bit there that's in the moulding. I'm going to shave that bit off at this diagonal from these uprights, and that should just give us that little extra turning that we're looking for on the pivot. Okay, so you've got the same again on this side. Look, you can see here. I'm going to shave that off because I still want some safety net in the turning. You don't want it turning and then locking up. So I'm going to start off by shaving that off first, all the way around on both the top and the bottom on each one of these, and trim the 4mm off, come back and fit it back to the car and see how the turning is. Okay, wish me luck. Here we go. Okay, so we've been out downstairs to the to my little cutting workstation, a little workstation I use in the garage. So we've cut off 4mm off of these ends that go through the axles and through the actual things there. So this is all nicely cut, and I've trimmed off, like I said, on these I've trimmed off to see how they go. So they technically sit inside your lower arms and your upper arms and swivel. I've done a quick test, and I still need to knock off this bottom lug here and here in order to get the steering travel I was looking for. I'm going to leave the top one on because there's another little notch on the top that as you turn, just as a fail safe, that's still got there, so you don't turn too much and the axles fall out. So back down into the workshop, just going to quickly trim these bottom ones off and I'll come back to you. And in the meantime, I've also trimmed up a couple of screws as well. So you may remember these are held in top and bottom using these hex 3x10mm self-tapping screws. So for the bottom, I've changed that to one of my button head 3mm by 10mm machine screw. Only as I've cut 4mm off here, I've cut 4mm off of here, so this is now about 6mm. So yeah, that will fit in the bottom and screw in through the bottom and be nice and flush, if you like, as much as we can. So that's what I've also done. So yeah, back in a moment. So here we go. We now trimmed those tabs. I've done them for both actually for the sake of symmetricals. I wanted us to make them look the same. So yeah, there you go. They kind of look the same now. So now that should solve the steering issue. We've now got to put this back into the car and put the car back together. So the top of the car we install back the same way. The only difference now would be from underneath, we're using our modified screw and washer. So I'm just going to catch the threads like that. And again for the other side. Notice none of that big spacer system. Oh, come back to you in a minute. Yeah, found the screw again. There we go. So yeah, sorry, had to go digging down for it. So there we are. There we go. So as you can see now, rather than those great big spacers and those great big screw heads, we've now got these very slimline stainless steel screws. There we go. That's that one tightened up. And the same again on here, look. Hopefully it focuses. We are. There we are. That's just about nice. Bit tight there, so what I'll do is I'll back that off a little. That's it. That's nice and loose. Yeah, lovely. There we are. And now we've got to put the steering system back again. And there we go. The wheels are back on. I think we just got a little bit more there. Look, that wheel is a lot more. And again that way as well. So yeah, I think we're just about there. And I think there is another little cheap mod we can do if we need just that little bit more steering. This collar underneath the shaft that goes through the prop shaft, underneath the prop shaft, we can just trim the edges of that down as well, because that's where there's a little bit of hitting here and here. And but we'll see how it goes. Right, now I can put the shocks back together again, because we've got no shocks at the moment. Right,